So the other thing that is important to think about when you're watching your lambs is to pay attention to their feces. It's easy in the first days because they're in the lambing pen, but day one, the normal thing that you're going to see is a really tarry stool. It's called a meconium, and the danger there is that they could get plugged up. So you want to make sure that everything's flowing and that tar has gotten out of there. As long as they're not plugged up, it'll be fine. Day two and three, it should turn yellow and pasty. It shouldn't be runny, and it shouldn't be pale like gray or white or anything like that. It should be yellow and pasty. And so that's just the sort of normal course of events. And then later on, like about day 5 to 7, it is the happy event, because that's when it becomes pellets. Ta-da! So an example of this is just mush, but it's not diarrhea, it's not scours, it's not a problem. It just happens to be a little mushy. This, on the other hand, is plop worthy. So that's not exactly scours. Scours would be wetter than that, but that's probably because one of the babies ingested a lot of mud off of his mom. And so he's got a flourishing bacteria, so he got a little runny, but it's not sick. So when we look at scours, which is diarrhea, we want to kind of differentiate. Is it white diarrhea? That's quite bad, very bad, because white diarrhea is a flourishing of the Escherichia coli. It's the bacteria that are in all of our guts, but it's just flourishing too much, and so that's why they get a white diarrhea. A dark green diarrhea, like this one, or more dark green, almost olive green, that one is usually coccidiosis, and so that's a protozoan that's found everywhere. It's kind of ubiquitous in soil, and you can use, there are some creep feeds have coccidiostatic additives, if you're really worried about it, but it goes away. They just have to get past all the dirt that's in them. The way that I deal with those kinds of diarrhea is to give them 2 teaspoons of Pepto-Bismol, and then I might repeat it again. Watch to see how they're doing. And I always clean up their bums, just to make sure that they don't get plugged up, because it can glom on. If they have signs of dehydration in here or anywhere on them, then I would use some electrolytes, and I would just add electrolytes, kind of like the idea of Gatorade, not using milk at the same time, because think of it, you wouldn't want Gatorade and milk. And the electrolytes, they just need a little bit. You can also kind of discontinue the milk for a day. If you're giving like a bottle baby that gets diarrhea, just kind of cut back on the milk and give them more electrolytes, and it'll usually correct the diarrhea. The kind of diarrhea that we don't like to see is if it's very smelly, brown, and runny, because that is a kind of a precursor of clostridium, which is tetanus, which is a very bad death. And that's the pathogen that we are trying to eliminate or avoid by giving them vaccinations such as CDT or Barvac 8. So in our case, generally what I do is vaccinate the mother 1 month prior to giving birth, and then the antibodies are given to the babies, and those antibodies last for 10 weeks. And so their immune system they're getting all the antibodies that they need from their mom, and they're do fine. Then after 10 weeks, then you're going to make some management decisions. If you're going to vaccinate, you would do it at about 10 weeks, and then 1 month later, and then that way they'd be good. And that's just against clostridium, which is that smelly, brown, runny diarrhea that can kill them. It's a very painful death. It's not nice to die of that. It's lockjaw. So you don't want that. creep feed is something that people ask me about sometimes. And creep feed, usually what they need is something very tasty, very palatable, very sweet, something that will encourage them to eat foods rather than mom. And the protein level of it changes. For the first 40 days, you would want to have about 20 to 21% protein. So maybe really alfalfa. Somebody who wants to use soy can use soy. Soy works really well as a creep feed. So does cracked corn, but you know some of us don't want to use those kinds of things. I use the best alfalfa that I can buy, and I grind it really small or get it as, take the fines from it. So that's a good thing. And then I can use pea pellets too. But it's 20 to 21% protein up to 40 days of age. And then from 40 days of age, from 40 to 80, for the next 40 days, is 16%. And then after that, you can drop back down to 13%. If you're doing rations, if you're buying commercial rations, those would be the figures that you look for. So 40 days at 20 and 40 days at 16, and then after that 13. And creep, you just make a arrangement like that so that they can get in. See, these guys they're just eating what they want to eat, and they don't have to compete with anybody else. So they're just eating what everyone else has, but it's the fines. So when we back the truck up here, put the hay in, there's always stuff left in there, so we put that in. And then they also have some pea pellets, and they also have salt. And we use the Redmond salt with added selenium, and we've never had any problems. We've never had to give people Bo-C, which is an additive selenium. We've never had any problems with that. If you have a lot of prolapses going on in your flock, then you might be thinking, well, do I have a selenium deficiency? That's one of the ways that it shows up. But if you just make sure that they always have mineral salt and fresh water and plenty of high protein, good grass, then they're all right. Rolf has so generously offered to help me. So I'm just going to use some Clear Eyes to clear up this. You've got kind of a runny eye like that. I cleared a lot of muck out of it yesterday, and now I'm just going to clear some more. If I had some Neosporin ophthalmic ointment, I probably would use it, but I don't.
It says for horses and ponies, not for sheep.
I know.
Are we in trouble?
This is a pony.
So this is just saline solution, isn't it?
It's just saline, yeah. See, this baby has just deep set eyes. And they got a lot of muck in them, and that's what happened. All right, let's see what happened here. Okay, now I'll just do a little more wash out. Oh no, it's startling, isn't it?
It's cold, that's why.
So it's just part and parcel of all the muckiness that we've had in this rain and damp, and probably got a damp face from its mother. When we need to warm a lamb, which you'll probably have to do at some point or another, there are a variety of ways to do it. We have a wood stove, we hold them, we wrap them up, we make them warm there. But the most important thing to remember is that they have to have food in, they have to have glucose in their brain before we warm them too much, because you will make matters worse if they don't have some food. Now, if they're unconscious, it's pretty darn hard to do. So what I have done a lot is to use a little bit of molasses vitamin mix. What I would do is to administer it in the corner of the mouth just like that, and to just give them like a squirt or two. And it's basically, it just gives them molasses to get their brain some glucose while they're warming. And it has a lot of various vitamins. So I found that these little coats are helpful. I used to use Rolf's sweaters because they're so nice and big sweaters. You know, I'd take off the arms and cut a hole for each of the legs, put the head through and put them on. And then if it's a little male, then you have to slit the bottom, make sure that they have a place for themselves. But Premier has these, and they have them in different sizes. This is a large. They go to large really soon. And it's kind of made of like those artificial blankets. But I found that the wool is great because the wool just keeps the warmth in. But I ran out of sweaters.
No, Rolf ran out of sweaters.
So this baby was utterly incoherent when we started warming it. And that was yesterday. And he's holding his own. He's doing better.